Testando, canal em inglês, testando, tradução do canal em inglês, testando.
Brazil's worst ever environmental disaster.
Air pollution is a huge health
Que a
issue.
luta contra o aquecimento global é uma das prioridades
for reducing emissions.
Thick smoke billowed above Brazil's Amazon jungle.
Is on top of the impacts of
It's a
climate
vital
change.
defense against climate change.
Pollution from burning fossil fuels.
Boa tarde a todos. Eu sou a Patrícia Scioli, da
Good
Scania.
afternoon, everyone. I'm Patricia Scioli from Scania Latin America. Welcome to the third day of Sustainable Talks in 100% digital format. We are following all the health protocols to make it a safe event. We're live through Scania Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico YouTube channels. As you know, Sustainable Talks has the participation of Scania throughout Latin America and international guests. We have simultaneous translation in Portuguese, English, and Spanish. We really want to have your interaction in this event. So send your questions and comment through our YouTube chat, okay? So let's make a flashback, come back to tomorrow. Yesterday, we took a trip to 5 countries: Sweden, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, and Colombia, to get to know different perspectives on the role of digitalization in accelerating sustainability. We found out from Ericsson's Emily Olander that even though the information technology and telecommunications sector is responsible for only 1.4% of greenhouse gas emissions, it does a lot to curb climate change. And with that, we learned 5G technology, close to being implemented in Brazil, will enable many significant advances. Our guest from PepsiCo told us how it has worked to reduce Scope 3 emissions. Close to carriers, which in Brazil and Mexico alone make more than 600,000 trips a year. He said the adoption of new technologies and the use of actionable data have been fundamental for better fleet and process management and for the increase in the return of recyclable materials. Yesterday, fashion had a space here showing being a business of social impact, like Hozag in Peru, a small business that, based on data on their consumers, redirected its sales to women and mothers, considering their attitudes at the forefront of conscious consumptions was the new direction of Hozag. But digitalization is a long process, which requires planning and adaptation to changes, as stressed in Inácio Uranga from Smart Vision. The end, from Colombia, technology journalist Guillermo Santos told us how the capital, Bogota, has used different technologies to become a smart city. That's what happened yesterday. Is everything recorded in our playlist? You can check it out. Today, we're talking about 2 themes which are each time more relevant in sustainability world: circular economy and companies' responsibility with the value chain. We'll open our afternoon with Carlos Mendieta from Global Pack Mexico. In the sequence, Romzani from Electrolux to talk about renewable fuel, circular economy in a format of energy known as biomethane. We'll have a round of conversation with Tamar Reitman from Biogas and André Gustavo Alves from Cocal. And closing the afternoon, we'll have the participation of Margaret Gandini from the Ministry of Economics. So let's go. Let's move ahead, showing what's going to be the spirit of this afternoon. Since the beginning of industrialization, the consumption model obey a linear sequence: extraction, consumption, discharge. Many of us here in this live stream were used to live under the concept of obsolete items that become trash very fast and are not reused. But this must not be our way. We must be the last generation of human using plastic water bottles that drive a car, smoke, and buy goods instead of sharing them. Let's see if this is going to happen. Pressured by the evidence of climate change, environmental regulations, which are more strict currently, the look of the stakeholders, and the change of behavior of consumers, and the voice of society and science. There's an alternative that gains momentum and interrupts the cycle of resorting to finite resources. It's so-called circular economy, a way to overcome dilemmas and create a new, smarter way to inhabiting our planet. Circularity can be a true win-win, better for the planet, for people and business. There will be the adoption by companies of the concepts of reusing, regenerating, and recycling. There will be many people transforming environmental liabilities into economic assets, and the planet is thankful for that. Deep inside, we'll have a lot of people making a better world. That's what we're talking about today with our guests. To help me to start our meeting from today, I call my colleague Juliana helping me on the one more day of sustainable task talks. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good morning. Good afternoon for you all with here with us. Our theme today is circular economy, and I need to tell you something. Do you know what we have in common with Kate and Meghan princesses, Marina Rui Barbosa and Angelina Jolie? We are empowered. We know about that. And we are queens. What else? Can you guess what we both here have in common with these wonderful women behind us? If you are good observers and follow Scania's live streams we've made in the last times, you have seen that in the last days, every day I use outfit I used in a previous event of Scania, like you, Patty. Look at me, 2020 and 2021. This one was in March, and now we are in November, December, in fact. This is awesome. Let me check if I was using the same outfit. The event Queen of the Road in March of this year and Tech Week in May. I think it's just that my hair is just shorter. That's the only thing that changed. Our hair changed, but our wardrobe is the same, and we'll keep it for a little while. And you can also comment. Do you reuse your wardrobe? What was the last event that you went and you use it again? Tell us in the chat, and you bring it here to talk to our guests about this also. I have no problem on repeating my outfits. I love it. But what I need to do to change phases is making sharing of clothes, rent clothes. If you have this sustainable practice, please comment on the chat. We are curious about this. We need your help to go with our meeting today. Do you do the sharing of your clothes, of your clothing? Please tell us. Now it's time to start for real. Who will be our first guest in this afternoon? It's a time to change the languages. Let's go to Portuguese to Spanish. Are you ready? We'll open this afternoon Mexican way for sustainability. Carlos Mendieta is from Global Pact from Mexico, Director of Public Matters from it's a Mexican company that is recycling PET, and it's from Coca-Cola, a Mexican company from Coca-Cola. Good afternoon, Carlos. How are you? It's a pleasure to be with you here in Mexico. It's a pleasure to be here in this wonderful event. Hello, Patricia and Juliana. That's wonderful. The background you have, the tree, super connected to our events. Really good. Carlos, we would like to know, to start this conversation, what is the priority agenda of Mexico's Global Pact and how the companies in the pact are working to improve your action in this value chain? It means the relation they have with their suppliers. I remember you well, the World Pacto Mundial is the network for, it's an initiative from United Nations since 2000, presented by the secretary at the time, Kofi Annan, and it has been created in some networks which were directed by Carlos. And here in Mexico, we have an important network gathering more than 600 micro, small, and medium companies, but also big companies and other organizations in a set of 900. And all the networks have an offer trying to approach the entire international agenda to all the companies so we can make it to ours and change our business models, giving strong steps because we have the knowledge, the tools, in different themes, critical themes as gender equality based in science to be part of the solution, the struggle in the fight for climate change. And we are forming a community of interconnectors to work in our companies, transforming business models, and besides, always contributing to sustainable development objectives. The World Pact call people to incorporate 10 principles that lead us to be a responsible economy, inclusive, distributive, but these companies are called to contribute to the 2030 agenda. And circular economy is one of the elements we are working from Mexico. We have some work groups for many goals on the sustainable development goals, and we are trying to change this linear economy so we can have regenerative economy, and the circular economy is essential so all the companies may access this great offer the pact has regarding human rights, gender equality, and they can be qualified on this theme and help companies so they will be part of the solution. It's good to know circular economy, the theme of this show, is part of the working group on World Pact in Mexico, especially gender equality themes, something that we need to work a lot on to improve in the countries, including here in Brazil. You said about the circular economy, and we know you have the responsibility as director of company PetStar, that is a company of bottles recycling. Can you tell us about the work? I have a curiosity. Which type of products can be done from the recycling of PET bottles? Well, I'm sorry if I say something. You can interrupt me if you need, okay? But I would like to explain you how it's important the international agenda that propels the World Pact to be lived in the company. So I can tell you later what is PetStar. I would like to come back a little bit, starting from the point that circular economy not only needs to find circularity, but it must a circular economy on a perspective of rights. It's not enough having circularity in the management of our products. This process must be also a climate process and under a right perspective. This is circular economy in which we believe, and it must be a regenerative one and contributing for the generation of a good nature. And this philosophy which comes from some decades, but it has been increased and has been around in the last 10 years, is really inspired by the logics of following the nature in their natural processes. And how can we get from nature only what we need to use, optimize the energy we are using to change into a natural resource into a product. And after that, we make this product keep on circulating in the economy, also using it in the end of its life cycle. Now I'm connected to the second part of the question, which part of applications we have to these materials. Talking about circular economy, mainly about PET bottles, we have the case of PetStar. PetStar is more than a recycling company. It's a sustainable business model, and we are totally integrated from collection up to recycling of PET bottles, and accordingly, we can go to different regions in Mexico through these bottles. We also serve warehouses, which are collection centers to collect this packaging. And traditionally, the people do not see this structure. It's not, most of the people is not aware of this, but they are doing a great work gathering not only PET bottles, but other residues from neighbors, on the communities where the collection centers are, and also urban recyclers. And PepsiCo serves more than 200 of these centers, and they would be partners and committed to human rights policies and not putting children in the laboral work. And PETSAR is working with this formation from the reality of Latin America, the need of formalize these supplying chains, and the recycling sector is the key for that. That's why we have an important effort in this sense, and all the material will reach our plant, recycling plant, the biggest food plant in the world, and it's incorporated and it's in charge to make new bottles. That's the only certified trade and training, because it's working with energy, water, social justice, and besides the bottle and the label we've developed in innovation part, because the circular economy has this part of redesign and innovation. And in this bottle and label, we have a formula allowing the making boxes where these bottles are transported. When they arrive, they reach the end of their useful life. These boxes, they will be crushed and mixed with material of the lids and the bottles, and they are used again. We have many other applications.
Nice. I didn't know that from the lid and from the label, you could do a lot of things. There are so many opportunities for us. And I think that to have a capacitation of recycling is very interesting. Before we continue with you, I would like to know that if we have some comments from people that are watching us.
A reciclagem e o uso de reuso de roupas. Então a gente tem a Analice Souza falando que repetir roupas é comigo mesmo. A gente tem a Linda Batista falando
We
que
have
So, Linda
Annalisa
Batista
ao produto
telling
said that to give a new chance for the product is very good. Gabriela Ramos said that she uses empty PET bottles to make vases for plants. This is so nice, Ju. I like that a lot. Thank you. Okay, continue to do that. Okay, let's continue with Carlos for the last question. I would like to know now, let's talk about. I would like to understand more about the pandemics and the experience. What has brought for learning to improve the sustainability of the planet. Thank you. Thank you. First, the pandemics has made people at the center. So we have to understand we are communities that are made by people, and we have to take care of each other. Also in companies and in the people that are involved in our supply chain. And I believe that one of the greatest learnings from the pandemics that we can never forget is that we have to take care of each other. In this sense, we have to give them opportunities besides health, productivity, and we have to make our chain resilient. We have to give them tools. How can we guarantee that part of our chain continues, and how can the chain depends on the recycling and what is being commercialized? Since the global impact, the agenda for human rights is fundamental. And I make this connection with the health crisis because it's not only a public crisis, but it's also a human crisis for jobs. And this has generated different processes. So we have greatest offers, so we can continue to be resilient. Before the pandemic, we had some competences, some structures, but we have been through this pandemic in a different way, and we have been made everything that is possible. For example, climate change. We have been trying to be stronger for them. To incorporate our local producers. So we can have local chains. And we are generating life processes for great companies and for also for big and small companies. And with this knowledge, we can follow this transformation process that is the resilience of all the community, Juliana. Resilience is the key word, right? I believe that throughout the world, in the pandemics, we learn to do things differently. And as you mentioned, Carlos, for the local producers, this is so interesting. We're going to talk this in a while when we talk about supply chain. We could spend this whole afternoon talking about that, but I would like to thank you for your presence today, which is very important. And let's continue with our next guests. And I would like to send you a big hug. Thank you very much.
Muito certo, Ju. Mas olha, o chat bombou. A gente está vendo que a audiência é bastante criativa em reuso, reutilização, reciclagem. Então, gostei de ver, pessoal. Então, de parabéns, tiraram nota 10 hoje no chat. Então, a gente vai sair do México e vai voltar para o Brasil e falar agora do seguinte, pessoal. Vamos trazer o nosso próximo convidado, tá? Falar de uma visão inovadora, colaborativa, sustentável e transformadora. Porque esse é o caminho, é isso que vai desenhar os novos caminhos da circularidade e fazê-la se tornar, quem sabe, o nosso novo normal.
The new paths of circularity and making our new normal.
Que vão depositar alimentos. Esse vai ser o novo normal.
That will be the new normal. Now, we have among our guests a company that, as soon as the way as Scania does, it's from Sweden, and it has the purpose of impact the world positively. João Zeni, welcome. He is a sustainability director at Electrolux, century-old company that is part of many people's lives. It's okay, João. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's so good to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you, because we know that Electrolux, as Scania, are very discreet. They're very low profile. So we would like to learn all the wonders that Electrolux has done with a curiosity. You are all over the world in many houses, in many households. I would like to know who is the customer today and who will be it, him or her tomorrow. Thank you. I would like to I would like to congratulate you in this initiative of wearing clothes, your clothes again. As we said, we have more than 60 million customers all over the world. And we are in the households of more than 64% of Brazilians. So the consumer today, we are in almost every household in a certain way. And our customer, we see that they have, especially because of the pandemics, they have valued the domestic environment. And I have seen some issues that our consumers are valuing a lot efficient products. We've seen increasingly each year in our income more efficient products that we put in the market. People are buying them more. So if you think I'm looking at some specific points, it's because I am. Oh, no problem. There are many informations that I would like to bring to you today. So 20% of our sales and 30% of our products is related to efficient products. So our customers are seeking for more efficient products. Consumers today, they seek for durability. And we feel a transition that they look for innovation about the functionalities of the products we put in the market that contribute to the daily lives of many families. In 2019, we had a global survey to understand the vision of customers in relation to sustainability. And some interesting information that we have perceived is that 52% of people are already aware of the climate issues. 40% think that they can have a positive impact in the environment. But on the other hand, 30% think it's very difficult to choose which ones are more sustainable. They would like to know more about the environmental impacts. So this helps us understand what is the customer of the future, because he is worried about the future, wants to know more and how he can contribute to the future. So some questions are very interesting because the main opportunities that we notice in this global survey is that 37% look for to reduce the consumption of food and consumption of energy and also plastic. So this transition, this change is happening. I think that is a little bit of we've seen in the future, and this has helped us to change our strategy because it is based in three pillars. We don't want to have a sustainability strategy. We want to have we don't want to have a business strategy. We want to have a sustainability strategy. So I am a consultant, but we have sustainability in all areas of the company. Okay, João. Yes, sure. Okay, you're going to continue to talk. You talked about efficiency, the search for efficiency in relation to equipment and also natural resources, water, energy. Okay, and then you said about Gen Z that it comes with sustainability in their blood. So this is a good news. And then you made a connection that this is feeding the business in Electrolux. And also, we know that as Sweden, you have a business strategy that is really nice. So what are the pillars of your strategy? How are you going to conduct this future of net zero carbon emissions? So the first pillar, we call it corporations. It's a very advanced one. I think the companies have started to work with this in the last decade. I think since about 45, 50. So they are all zero waste or factories. So we have a strong presence in the sense, not only for environmental, but also socially, human rights, inclusion. So we have better solutions because how our products can be more efficient and how we can deliver more circularity, recyclable materials. And the last one, the last pillar is called better living. How can our products impact positively? How can he be a neighbor for circularity? How he can foment circularity? And we have some examples in the for better living. One of them is to foment a health food ingestion. And we can talk about some years ago because, for example, we had some, for example, the preservation of mushrooms and strawberry went from 4 to 9 days. And we also can talk about clothes, for example, that you talked in the beginning. So we are working a lot to make the clothes more durable. When we talk about Gen Z, I also see that we have done research this year with 14,000 young people to see their vision for the houses in the future. And one of the interesting points is that 54% of these they feel anxious about these changes for sustainability. And they are anxious because 73% of them answered that they are responsible for this change to bring sustainability into the future. So I think that they don't understand how to put this into practice. They understand they are responsible and they feel anxious about that. But we have noticed that this generation really understands this theme and it's focused on this theme. And for sure, this is going to change our business. And these young people are going to work in our Electrolux factories to change our future. Oh yes, I think my son is already in this line. He's also changing things. So we have some questions for you. Yes, Ju. Yes, we have some comments. I loved Deolinda's comment because it's related to what you said. Consumer is really researching about products. They are not just looking for something beautiful or cheaper. And there are some people that are very creative in reusing things, even poop from their pets. They are using paper or newspaper for that. And also, there are some people that say that they're saying that we have to take care of our planet because sustainability is really important. Okay, guys, you can continue to send us our comments. Yes, please. Okay, so I have a question for João. In, in, how are you relating with the short, medium, and long-term goals?
I would like to say, everyone, both reports are available in our website. Who wants to know a little bit more about the information you can access? Please, can you send in the chat João's information? We'll send in the chat so the entire audience has the possibility to access. And regarding climate change goals, the two concepts, directing our entire corporate strategy. We have behind the the Sustainable Development Goals from United Nations to ground our strategy. The basic targets, we have goals according to science-based targets, scopes 1, 2, and 3 on emissions, scope 1 and 2 more internal emissions, direct, and 3 more indirect emissions. And the analysis on the life of our product, understanding which emissions are impacting more since the selection of the material, the use of the product for final consumer and final destination. We've seen more than 80% of the emissions in the cycle of this product is in use phase. That takes a long time at the consumer's home. Today, we have goals to reduce 85% of our emissions up to 2025, and we also have a goal to reduce 25% of the emissions in the use phase of the product, selling products more efficient to our customer. They will have more efficient product using less energy, and with this energy, it will not emit CO2. We have our refrigerators and air conditioning. They have a gas inside it, and has a potential of climate impact. We have a commitment with the United Nations to migrate 100% of these gases to low impact gases. We are looking to the entire process, selection of material. We understand circularity and the climate issue. They are connected. Selecting a recyclable material, for example, it has in its production less emissions. So we are acting like this, all the issue of life cycle, the complete life cycle of the product. And we need to look at the end of the chain. We're having a product that preserve more the food, makes the clothing last more. We have less impact on the chains. If you look at the food chain, it's in charge of more than 15% of global emissions in the account. In the end, if we make food last longer and less waste, we can impact this change. That's our idea and our mission. It's a good journey. As you said, since the development of the product up to its arrival to our homes, there's an important component, which is innovation, right? Innovation as a leverage. Could you tell us a little bit more about the potential of innovation along with all the life process of the product? How are you working innovation in Electrolux? It's an interesting thing because we have different areas of research and development in each category of product. We have innovation matter disseminated to each product characteristic, and we have a traffic of innovation and technology inside the company. We are seeking innovation focused, aligned with the framework of sustainability we have. When I talk about circular economy, bringing innovation to this concept of circular economy, we look to our product development process with a checkpoint of sustainability in each step. From the conception of the product, we are looking to circularity, efficient material, etc. An example, we launched early this year a water purifier using 27% less plastic, and we changed the way of inserting plastics to make easier sustainability along the chain. It brings us some examples of how we can do these things. We are putting this process, these frameworks in our sustainability strategies from the conception of the product in each of the categories we have and areas of research and development. And it's interesting because we have some circularity approach approaches like the selection of materials, we are strong, and repairability of the product, more recyclability of the product, just change a compound, not the product as a whole. We are seeking new business models, for example, pay by the use of the product, a rent of the product, and that's there's the final destination of the product. We have advanced a lot. The Brazilian Association of Recycling, more than 2,000 points of collection of electronics in Brazil. We are advancing in this issue as well, which is very relevant. It's interesting that you brought that first because I didn't know about half what you were saying. I don't know if you were aware of that, how everything is thought to bring more efficiency and decrease our carbon. And we have a question here for you, and the audience is the same that we have. The audience is making. How are you working with value chain? Your suppliers, business partner, nobody's changed the world alone, and sustainability needs partnerships. We cannot leave anyone behind. How Electrolux is working on the value chain? I will comment a little bit some goals we have so you can understand the challenge. Electrolux wants to decrease up to 50% of plastic in their products up to 2050, 100% sustainable package up to 2025. Two good examples to show that there's no way of doing things alone. We need a change that provide us recycling space. Strategies to get the product in the end of the chain, as Electrolux has this power to our consumer. In this approach of value chain, we need to work with our supplier, our commercial partners, to reduce the climate impact. And for that, we have an initiative called responsible sourcing. More than 80% of our big commercial partners inside of platform to start following how is their carbon management. And on the other hand, we are looking to partnerships as well. Some examples, Electrolux participates in a circular economy hub, the first one in Brazil, seeking intra and intersectorial partnerships to advance regarding circular economy. Some example of projects. We're talking to Gerdau to say how they can be interested in recycling our refrigerators. Another plastic company, how they can develop a recyclable plastic to serve our needs. And other examples, Prevent Waste Alliance, we participated on that to try to foment the recycling chain, to separate better plastics, to understand how separation can help us to have recycling plastic in our products with better technical specification, and so on, partnership with other suppliers. The idea is being open to partnerships, seeking partnerships, to following the journey that we know it's a complex one. This is the theme on Sustainable Talks. Can you hear me? Yes. Let's go. There's a question for you. You said that the products are having each time more recycled plastic. But a tip for me and for everyone watching us, when the electronic piece is broken, what can we do to recycle? What do I have to do as a consumer to reach you so you're not bring a problem to the planet? This is something. The return logistics is a complex thing. In a continental country as Brazil, there's a big complexity around this. Electrolux has a website, Descarte Consciente, on Google. You have the tips of what to follow with the conscious discharge. And you have the direction to the website of ABI with a map roadmap with the collection points and how you're doing the collection, among other partners that we mentioned that can make the right route for these electronics that you're not using anymore. We are trying to advance in the idea. We have the commitment in Brazil, us and the entire sector, to have collection points in all the cities with more than 1,000 inhabitants up to 2025. We are expanding the collection constantly to serve the biggest number of people and assure the recycling and the return of the materials to the productive chain. In the chat, many comments congratulating Electrolux initiatives. I didn't know many of them. We know about the bottlenecks, but we need to talk about the good things the companies are doing and about our infrastructure, public policies, everything being made so we can move on and decarbonize not only transport sector, but the whole planet. Do you have any comments you can read for us? I love Sandra's comment. She said, it's good seeing the concern of companies with sustainability since the production process. Carlos also said about this product design and the other guests. Yes, probably we'll talk about this as well. And we have a comment from a colleague from Mexico who is loving the show, congratulated the translation to Spanish. We have simultaneous translation, and we thank your comment. Ivan Perez. We have here in the audience Argentinians, Brazilians, Chileans, Mexican, and Peruvians. Do you know? Do you see, João? Electrolux is a global company. We know you are everywhere, so it's nice to know what the brand is doing. We have to explore doing the right choices, as Juliana and myself that chose the right outfit for today. John, we could spend the whole afternoon here with you, but we'll say goodbye because we have other guests that will talk again about circularity and bring some new news to our afternoon. I thank you on behalf of Scania and the entire audience in Sustainable Talks. Perfect. Thank you for the opportunity. And to end, I say sustainability is a journey, and we have to be serious on this. We need to be serious to reach where we need to go. It's really nice seeing all the companies, not only us, this amazing event in this journey together. Thank you, João. See you. We'll continue here. We've seen the website João said about. It's on the screen on YouTube. You can access and know more about Electrolux. But now, once again, it's time for you to participate. You are the protagonist here. It's time to hear your opinion before our small break, because in the next part, we'll talk about biomethane, which was a subject in the first day of Sustainable Talks, and we'll talk about this up to tomorrow. But today, we want to know if you know what is biomethane. Do you know what is this? This is our poll from today. This one is easy. What is biomethane? You have 5 suggestions, none of the previous answers. Biogas, renewable fuel produced from organic residues, biofertilizer, biogas. You can choose, and please just point your cell phone camera to the QR code and left us with your answer because we will bring the results soon, okay? But before bringing the result, we'll have a small break. So you're able to breathe a little bit and then come back to us. And in the break, we'll have a message from the director from Mexico, Alejandro Mondragon, a special video for you. And we'll have a call for you who wants to know more about circularity, circular economy. Scania, one of the cases of the free course on Introduction to Circular Economy created by Brazilian Movement of Circularity. You can follow them on social media. For the ones watching us, the content of this free course is available in Portuguese, English, and Spanish. So, Patty, no excuse. You know about the theme. Now you can learn about the theme. It's free. It's just access the website. You'll see soon. And when we come back, we'll show you the complete address so you can subscribe and start learning. We'll come back soon in 5 minutes.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Los saludo desde México. Soy Alejandro Mondragón, el director general de Scania en el país. Me da mucho gusto participar con ustedes. Les mando un saludo a la distancia en este Sustainable Talks. Espero que, aparte de reflexiones, nos llevemos realmente esta inspiración como líderes, como socios comerciales, como socios estratégicos, que no hay más. La verdad es que tenemos que estar todos convencidos, alineados que la
What we need is to all be convinced that sustainability is the way. There is no plan B. We have to act now with concrete actions that give example to the entire society and for all decision makers and for all the people have opinions. So this theme of sustainability is to improve our planet. There is no other planet. I'm very happy to be working at Scania because we know clearly which one is our objective. We need to end the emissions. This is very clear of our industries and our vehicles and our production. So this is a great challenge and very intimidating, but we can do it. Here in Mexico, we are doing many actions with Committee of Sustainability that helps to permeate this culture in all the society from bottom up. So, and also we need to have actions that echo these. And this is all related to our portfolio. We want to have a very broad portfolio that will help our clients and our commercial partners to make decisions in this sense. And today we have drivers. We have motors, I'm sorry. And also products that emit less greenhouse gases due to our commercial partners. And we have many trucks and buses that comply with the norm of Europe in relation to diesel use. And also we have another portfolio that is available in relation to biomethane and electrification. Next year, we will launch a bus and a truck that are totally electric. So we are into this electromobility. We want to make decisions as leaders, and we want to be an example to attract talents and to sum these to many actions happening all over the world and in the community, because we have to act now. So I would like to congratulate and say hello to you all. Thank you.
Bem-vindos de volta ao segundo bloco aqui de hoje do nosso Sustainable Talks. Você então já viu aí como...
So we're back, and you have seen how to subscribe to our circular economy course. We're going to put the link if you want to know more about it. And you notice that Carlo Pereira from Global Impact. So there are a lot of nice people for you to understand more about the theme. Okay, so now we're going to call our next guests, but we would like to know if you know what is biomethane. We have asked this question. Let's see if they made it. They have the right answers. Okay, Ju. We had a problem for relation to the results, but I have received them. And our audience said that biomethane is the renewable fuel produced from organic disposal. This is the first one. And also biogas. We have the perfect person to explain this. What is biogas? What is biomethane? And also to bring all the necessary information. And we are in love with this fuel. Yes, it's true. But okay, no problem. We make mistakes. The right answer is a renewable fuel, and we're going to know more about its difference from biogas. Okay, if you have lived in the 80s as a child, and I confess I was a child, certainly you have watched the trilogy Back to the Future. Do you remember? I loved it. Oh, did you like this movie? Yes, I was in love with the protagonist. Oh, where's the picture? Oh, look at the picture. Nice. In the movie, a visionary scientist, Dr. Brown, created a time machine, a car, which, when filled with garbage, like leftovers of food and beer, he had the power to carry Marty McFly into the future. It was awesome. Okay, years later, garbage that turns into fuel is already a reality and not a thing of futurology. Biomethane, a renewable natural gas, is the coolest alternative fuel in Brazil, right, Pachi? Yes. Oh, if you're talking about my biomethane, you're speaking my language. Another thing, another person who likes that is our CEO of Scania Latin America, Christopher Podolsky. He loves to call this as a country pre-solve. And he has gained increasing relevance in scale in the country, and it's showing itself as a fine example of circular economy by transforming waste into an environmental liability and social in a financial asset and solution for the transport sector. To explain the solution for Planet A, since there's no Planet B, we invited Tamar Reutemann from the Brazilian Biogas Association and André Gustavo Alves from Cocal, one of the most important companies in the Brazilian sugar energy sector. Good afternoon, Tamar. Good afternoon, André. Can you hear me well? Good afternoon, Ju. I hear you well. Good afternoon, Ju. I can hear you very well. Oh, great. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start with Tamar. We want you to explain to our audience what is biomethane? What is the difference from biogas? So we want you to ask all your questions, the ones you always wanted to ask. So this is our space to solve all your doubts. Okay, so now you are a PhD in the theme. So tell us more about biomethane. Oh, it's very nice, Paty. Good afternoon. The poll was great. And I think it was directed, if you would, for those of you who are following Scania, and for those of you who understand that biomethane is a fuel. It's good to see that we have more information, and this is the role of biogas to disseminate what is biomethane. These two names are sometimes they complicate things. Biomethane is produced from biogas. Biogas is a gas produced from the degradation, an anaerobic degradation of any residue. So any residue is subject to degradation. For example, animal residue or food leftovers. So you're going to smell the gases, their form. And one of the gases that is formed is biogas, which is a molecule of biomethane. But this biogas, this gross gas is a fuel because it can produce energy and it has CO2 and other gases. So with this biogas, we can generate energy electric or thermal energy to heat, for example, and to use in the stove. But biomethane passes through a purification process that removes CO2 and increases the concentration of methane, which is the fuel gas, and it is in the same composition as the natural gas that goes to houses, which is used in the industries and also for vehicles. It is the methane gas, the a natural gas, and biomethane is equivalent, completely equivalent. So we can put this in the pipelines and also in vehicles. For example, the light vehicles who are fueled with natural gas. So it's completely renewable. Very nice, Tamara. This is a very good explanation. We have GNV, which is a fossil fuel, it's from fossil fuels, and we have methane from bacteria that degrades natural residues. It's very interesting. So when we see the garbage, when we smell that garbage, we think, oh, we can't leave this methane goes to the air because we have to use them. And talking about greenhouse gas, we are going to talk about COP26, the UN conference on climate that ended recently. And one of the announcements there was the commitment of 100 countries, including Brazil, that is responsible for half of the emissions of greenhouse gases in the world. And the idea of these countries is to reduce the methane emissions by 30% up to 2030 compared to 2020. And I would like to know from you, Tamar, what is the production of biogas and methane to help Brazil comply with this goal? Well, first, we were very happy about Brazil adhering to this agreement. We were afraid that Brazil wouldn't do that. So we're very happy for that. We had some meetings with the Ministry of the Environment because we wanted to congratulate them. It's very important, this initiative. And Brazil, only with the biogas potential that is equivalent to double the production of natural gas. We talked about a natural gas that is all over Brazil, just from residues from agriculture, from the sugar energy sector. Brazil produces a lot of residues, and it could double the production of gas with the natural gas without using the fossil fuel gas reserves and without without emitting more methane into the air. So with this goal, we want to produce 30 million cubic meters until 2030. This is a forecast, but it's a very realistic one. We see that demand is very large for renewable fuels. And with this 30 million cubic meter goal, we've seen that we're going to reach this goal because this is involves a lot of technology, investment, and with a lot of demand and valorization of this renewable source. And we are going to comply with this goal to reduce the methane emissions. So everything is ready for us to reach this goal. Very good, Tamar. And someone that is helping us to comply with this, it's people from Cacau. I have here Andre, who's going to tell us a little bit more about producing sugar cane, sugar, ethanol, and all, methane, and some biomethane. So tell us more about that, about this transition. Good afternoon, Paty. Good afternoon, Juliana. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure for Cacau to be here in this moment to talk more about the production of biomethane, our new business. Cacau has started this journey with biomethane and biogas 2 years ago. with a main objective to generate sustainability. So Cacao, in its strategic cycle that we have developed, we understood that we need to generate as a purpose of sustainability. So the new products that we are developing, all of them have sustainability as main purpose. What is sustainability? Sustainability has as an objective to develop three great pillars. First, our region. We are in the countryside of São Paulo. We have a commitment to society where we are inserted to develop this community, and we understand that our business help them. The sustainability to have different products in, from our traditional products. So for example, our sugar, ethanol, energy, and now we have a sustainable product, which is biogas, and in consequence, biomethane. And the third one, sustainability, because it uses all of these products use sugar cane as a reference. So the objective is to maximize the potential of sugar cane. We understand this is a gift from God, and that we need to use all the products that come from sugar cane, and they are sustainable. And the third pillar is the environmental sustainability to make good products and sustainable products and environmentally correct. So this is the objective of our project. This is why we developed this project.
Thank you, Andre. It's interesting. Now we know the companies are working inside a sustainability structure as a strategic plan of business. We have a question from the audience. Erico Cazula is asking you, Tamar, do we have enough production of biomethane to provide to the supply chain? Is this one an easy one or not? It's an easy one. Our offer is way below the demand. There's the good part and the bad part. We have this optimism to grow, and we're seeing accelerated demand. Andre knows better than me, but the production is way below both the potential and demand. But it's being warmed, being hit up. It's important to see the market is demanding, is asking for biomethane, and the production is now around 400,000 cubic meters a day. And Brazil consumes around, I'm sorry, I'm kind of crazy, 700 million. André, please help me about with this number.
700 Isso. Então,
so our production is still a small one. It's not a representative percentage. In the energetic grid of biogas is 1%, but we're seeing a growing demand arriving. Production will grow also, but our demand is still below the offer. André, you're talking about a Brazilian vocation. You're talking about demand and offer trying to fit themselves in place. At Cocal, you were the early adopters, the pioneer in the use of technology. Ju, I think it's interesting, ask André, the ones following know that Scania has gas trucks that can run with GNV or biomethane. You were the pioneer in field. How is that experience? How do you see the future of sustainable transportation at Cocal? This is a very good question. Getting the hook from what Tamara said, just imagine Cocal Group. Cocal consumes 30 million liters of diesel in its fleet. We have 750 motorized equipment. Our entire project, if we are producing our entire biomethane in the first phase, we can produce 1/3, 10 million cubic meters. The first project is 1/3 of Cocal's demand as a whole. maybe this will bring an example that in fact the offer is lower than the demand, and we have a lot of things to work on. And from the 30 million, 10 million is coming from our trucks. The trucks are our main fleet, around 200 equipment. We are consuming 10 million liters in many segments, mainly sugarcane. The truck bringing the raw material that it's in the field up to the industries to be processed. And within the 200 equipment, this year we had a test with Scania's truck. It ran more than 70,000 kilometers with the whole crop, so we can try to understand the adaptations we need to make. Imagine this gas vehicle to our collection, harvest and transportation of sugarcane. And our good surprise was the test was really well. We could run with this truck the whole year. It could bring a satisfactory volume of sugarcane. The conversion, there was a concern on how could we change biomethane, run biomethane in gas. It's a truck that is running well, and we are sure the path from now is making some adjustments. We have some regulatory adjustments to be made, so this operation will be 100% scalable, but we are really happy. That's the way, and that's why we are producing biomethane for our consumers. It's really good to know. As Patsy said, you were enablers. In Scania World, it was the first time we started having an application of sugarcane moved by gas. It's really good betting on that. Now I'll come back to Tomar to know a little bit from the point of view of public policies, how biomethane agenda has advanced in Brazil. We have many things to do. As we've seen, the production is way below the offer yet, but of demand, I'm sorry. And there's a lot of things, there's a lot, there are a lot of things to be unlocked. Let's say this year we had the approval of gas law, gas bill, a decree classified biomethane as equivalent to natural gas to all the purposes. It was a landmark for the sector, assuring biomethane can be mixed with natural gas in gasoduct networks, and biomethane is equivalent gas. It's really important. What we have right now, what we have to do right now in state level, it's called the free market of gas. It's already being regulated. It's a new thing, but the idea is having each time more gas suppliers, biomethane, natural gas, reducing a situation of monopoly that we have currently with few companies participating. And we know monopoly is always a bad thing regarding competitiveness, prices. As many players we have in the market, more benefits to consumers. This free market of gas will bring many benefits to biomethane because we can see that we will reach more consumers with that. Each time more companies looking for renewable gas, and it can be transported in many ways through pipelines and in the compressed form, so to trucks that can reach the customers. But this gas market's being opened, widened, so we'll have more companies participating, and it's a good thing. Biomethane has this capacity of making the integration with gas and taking gas to places where we don't have right now. Cocal's project is a beautiful one because it's taking 100% renewable gas to places where it was not arriving before. And this place will be filled with renewable gas. We hope this can happen in many other cities of the country. We are also waiting for this. This is something that we are betting on. And about public policies, Renova Bio program, how is it related to biogas and biomethane production? Tell us about this program and the importance to make this sector to move forward. RenovaBio is changing our concept of thinking on fuel only regarding price. It's bringing a renewability concept, intensity, valuing renewable fuel. It's an innovative program bringing the best practices of understanding on what is a renewable fuel. It makes all the calculation of the assessment of life cycle. It means the impact of carbon footprint of fuels and valuing renewable fuel. This is innovative thing, is adherent to what other countries are doing, but it's a Brazilian program applied here in Brazil, and biomethane can be benefited generating carbon credits. So who's producing biomethane can issue carbon credits and have a revenue valuing this renewability, the environmental footprint, the positive parts of the renewable gas that in the pump, in the final consumption, the consumer is not aware. He cannot pay a different price. Also for ethanol, the one on first or second generation, the less or more efficient plant at the pump, the fuel has the same price. Ethanol and biomethane, they have the same price for the consumer. And RenovaBio is bringing the possibility of valuing the efficiency gains and renewability gains. So the producer is selling as renewable fuel, receiving credits by the fuel. He can sell and having a further revenue with this carbon credit. I think we call them CBIOs, the credits, right? We're learning more with Tamar. Thank you. Before going to the next question, we have a comment for the audience, which is Fabricia Moraes. As many players, more the scale advances. I love the comment, and it's related to the next question to André. We're talking about players, but also about partnerships, our theme in the show. I would like to know about Cacau. You've worked a lot, not only with Cacau's residues, but other producers in the region, so you achieve more results. I would like you to explain more about this partnership in field to have more assets instead of liabilities. That's a good question. Biogas, as Tamar said, can be produced from any residue having organic matter. In our region, São Paulo's countryside, besides sugarcane, we have other sectors which also have residues that can be reused. At Cacau, we have a partnership with confining close to us, which have a volume of cattle, confined cattle, and we are trying to identify the potential of biodigestion production from the residue of the cattle breeding. And we are also doing the same thing with chicken residues. We have close to Basso, a strong region, this segment. They have important generation of residues in chicken chambers, and we are incorporating them to our tests. And besides adding on the destination of the correct residues to these industries is generating biofertilizers. We have our residues, which are rich mainly in potassium. If we can add to this production system a residue which has nitrogen, for example, we are generating a biofertilizer that is going to the field and will replace a traditional fertilizer from mineral origin. And working in both ends, diesel to biomethane, reducing 90% the greenhouse effect gases in our trucks, as we are seeing here in our Scania's truck. When you're going to the field, replacing traditional fertilizer, mineral one, to a bio fertilizer, we are reducing 75% CO2 and CH4 emissions in field. In both ends, upstream and downstream, we have this reduction, and with more sustainable production, we are working with chicken, cattle residues, and we are also studying the possibility of using urban solid residues in our biodigesters. So the production, Tamar said, on offer and demand, with this development, we'll have more offer of biogas to receive methane to be equal to this growing demand. That's really good. There's no talk of waste and residues having no correct assignment. It's really good knowing. I don't know if you were aware on the potential of residues, but it's interesting what Andrea just said. I would like to come back to Tamar to know. You said we have less offer and many demand, but what can we do so the biomethane production can be increased in Brazil? How can we help it to be the great star in the energetic grid in Brazil? This is a big part of our work as association, showing what is this biomethane, and we have some works we have been done. One of them is talking about biogas in public transportation. For example, biomethane can contribute to reducing emissions and the price of the fuel, diesel, currently, and it can be used in public transportation. We have an action with the cities. Some cities have goals of reducing emissions, and they need to look to biomethane and understand it can contribute in an important way to the reduction of emissions. There are some foment ways to this market, incentives. We have some things that need to be solved as biomethane, isonomy with gas, natural gas. In some states, the transition, biomethane is overpriced over the natural gas. It doesn't make any sense. It's the same fuel. So we want, and it's a renewable fuel. There's a benefit, a bigger externality, bringing benefits to our energetic grid. But at least we need to have taxation, an equivalence in this sense. And it's a work we need to do. Not all the states are aware on that. And you are bringing this research or understand who knows and who doesn't know biogas and biomethane. And we can see for sure what is missing is the understanding, the knowledge on this field, and it's what we're trying to do. We have been working a lot with representatives, ministries to show the potential. What is the industry? How we're doing this production in here? But it's a constant work. We'll be improving regulations, state, federal regulations. There's a lot of things to be done to develop this market, and it's interesting seeing the investments are happening, even though we don't have many incentives yet, few things in this sense, but the investments are happening because the demand is asking a lot. So this industry is happening. We need to solve some bottlenecks so we can move forward.
Tamara gave me an idea for the next poll in 2022. This year we asked, what is biomethane? And next year we can ask, what can you do from it? And people are going to answer. Andre has said many incredible things that we can do from the residue. This is very interesting, yes. And I love that Tamara talked about cities to use this renewable fuel for the transportation. This would be fantastic. We would leave a problem behind from the garbage, and then we would transform this as a fuel for buses and have a more clean energy for our buses in our city and our planet. And we want to ask for people that are watching us to disseminate this knowledge, to be agents of transformation. We would like to thank you for your presence, Tamara and Andre. It was a great lecture for those of you who didn't know about biomethane and all these wonderful things that we can have from the residues as Cacao is already putting into practice. So it's very good to have you here. And we want this to be a reality. Maybe next year, Pachi, we can tell that there are a lot of biomethane around in Brazil, about a lot of biomethane being used in Brazil. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you. It's an inspiration, yeah. So this is what Sustainable Talks is about, to bring more examples to show the importance of partnership and orchestration. We have seen that our private sector, an association talking about this, commenting how is this is the importance to be with the government, with the public sector. This is what makes things happen, partnerships, right? Yes, and we have a lot of examples here. Cacao, for example, they brought a solution because they wanted to bring sustainability as an important pillar. Now we're going to talk about from day one until the last day about partnerships. So now we're going to call our next guest because, as you know, Brazil has a continental dimension and it concentrates 80% of the cargo transport in the model. It's very significant. This same sector, it was entitled a special one. It was one of the most special pavilions in the COP26. Energy and transportation have dominated the discussions in Glasgow. Not for less, because we know that transportation is responsible for 1/3 of the emission of greenhouse gases. It's not is a lot. To talk about this industry and sector, how this sector is adapting to climate change, we are pleased to call Margaret Gandini. She is the General Coordinator of Implementation and Inspection of Automotive Regimes. Hello, at the Ministry of the Economy. Margaret, are you here? You can't hear me? Now we can hear you perfectly. Yes. How are you? I am fine. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being here with us. We're talking about partnerships, about the transportation sector in Brazil. Brazil uses this sector so much from north to south. So we want to ask you, Margaret, what are the actions that the government has taken to improve sustainability in transportation? What is the framework? How are you acting to have partnerships to change the scenario? Government has signalized, has from quite some time, that our future, that our vision for the future is a mobility for people, for goods. It's due to low carbon emissions. So we follow the technological route. In this sense, we are doing what we do, the role of the government in this matter, to ensure a political position to support the mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions, maintaining the productivity, the jobs, and valuing the regulation and ensure the legal security for this. In this sense, we are seeking to have norms and regulations that give preservability and go towards a very safe horizon. In regards to actions that are already happened, it's important to say that in 2023, we're going to a next cycle that for emissions of particulated objects, when you compare with this new cycle, you have about 150 for particulated vehicles And we are discussing a program for renovation of fleet. In Brazil, we have about 500,000 trucks that are more than 30 years old. And comparing with this phase, with a 20-year-old truck, it reduces about 96% of the emissions. We have another example that I would give to talk about the pollution of the air. About 47% of the pollution of the air by carbon in São Paulo comes from trucks and buses. Although in this center, in this urban center, is only 5% of the fleet. Another matter is the change for a sustainable logistics of low carbon is the work to develop corridors, sustainable corridors, which are logistic routes, which are strategic, that are fueled with biomethane and natural gas. The idea is to trace logistic routes where you can have the fuel, you can fuel these vehicles with low carbon emissions. And then we would like to thank the partnership and the initiative of Scania with other companies from the vehicle sector, from the transportation sector, which is an initiative that has many partners. And also, we are working with reducing the impact of heavy vehicles with a schedule to define goals for energetic emission with Vecto. And also we have supported for fiscal incentives through priority programs to research new technologies. Basically is that. Can you hear me? Yes. It's important for you to put this preservability and safety and to trace the routes so companies can know which routes they can invest. This is very interesting for us to see. And we were talking also, Margaret, I found it very interesting. I would like to say something about it because here at Scania, we say a lot about eclectic future, the presence of many technologies that contribute for a final objective, which is a common one. And you at the government have talked about flexibility, the flexible future. What is exactly this flexible future? How are you seeing this engaging of technologies, the maturity of those? Do you think some of them need more structure, some of them don't? What is your view about the flexible future? The government is all about the management. The future will be sustainable and low carbon one. We have different ways in terms of technology to reach this logistic mobility of low carbon. So we talked about flexibility and to be eclectic. You have many technologies together with the adoption of a technology that is more adapted to a specific context for the vehicle. So when we talk about flexibility, is to live with many technologies of propulsion, of solution, different solutions within the same fleet. And in here, we're talking a lot about the private sector. How do you think the private sector and the public sector can cooperate to change the transportation system? The world is working very fast. We just left COP26. Do you think there is going to have an immediate action? How can you think we can accelerate these changes that we're talking about it now? These transformations are happening very fast, and the productive sector has a central role. Why? Because the government is the driver. We have to implement the technologies and solutions, the technological and solutions that are being appointed to the government for the productive sector. In this sense, the way that we have been working is through partnerships, constant partnerships. You have to have political support, preservability, and legal security. It's a process. Nothing is going to happen from day to night. So all the actions that have been talking, they are within a strategy that was developed in years 17 and 18 with the whole productive sector. And we're following a series of guidelines that we are converting into actions now. And they are being discussed along with the private sector. Another matter that we have adopted in our public policies is that usually these actions are with the management group. They have a management group or a management board that when you put a policy into practice, you have an idea and you don't know how to execute this. So we can correct this route. It's important to follow up constantly this policy. So the private sector is a partner. The government has signaled that is going to advance with the mobility, the logistic for low carbon emissions and for energy efficiency and low carbon footprint. And the productive sector is preparing for that. Very good, Margaret. We see there is a lot of movement from the productive sector, from the companies, and we are being demanded by many sectors, by society, by the consumers. They're all looking to the same place. Now, we can't say that we left pandemics, that the pandemics is over, but we have been doing this for the last 2 years. It's a very challenging scenario. And for the whole productive chain and for the automotive sector as well. I would like you to talk about the initiatives to foment, to stimulate the value chain of the automotive sector to be adequate to the changes. Okay. The pandemics has demanded partnerships, strategic partnerships with customers and with the supply chain. And putting as an imperative that the growth of a link of this chain is going to happen constantly with the growth of the whole supply chain. One of the moves that we can see is the regionalization of the supply chains. They are coming closer, and this is an effect that we also hope when you start looking for carbon footprint for the whole cycle of production. What we see is a great approach and a strengthening of partnerships. We have in the sector of the logistics mobility, we have created within this partnership concept that has emerged during pandemics, a collaborative network to develop the production of new technologies from innovative solutions to do differently and not do the same.
Music to our ears. We cannot change things doing it the same way. We have to look for innovation in the end. Do you have any comments or questions to Margaret? I have a question to you regarding how you in the government are thinking on making possible to the companies that want to bet on new technologies, and also in the end, who is buying vehicles can have these vehicles, more sustainable vehicles. How will be the financing part for that? Because we have 30-year-old vehicles on the streets. We will have a credit line, a specific one for who is betting on more sustainable solutions. Are the discussions in federal level? Regarding circulating fleet, it will be the beginning in Brazil. It means you have in other countries programs and works developed on the care about this in Brazil. It would be the beginning of the path. We are concluding the design of the program of fleet renovation, but no doubt the owner of a 30-year-old truck, he will need some support. And always this kind of program requires to be a volunteer. And another issue we'll need to advance on is on the culture of maintenance, vehicles maintenance, maintaining safety, footprint, emissions, because we have advanced in this kind of requirements for new trucks, but you don't have this follow-up along the life of an old truck. You talked about financing. It's something, some of the leverage to make an acceleration of route acceleration to get to carbon neutral. And what about infrastructure? What is the thoughts of the government in multidisciplinary groups you have in the government for discussing topics? How is the conversation with infrastructure to have possibility to implement new technologies in mobility and logistics? In mobility, pricing, you have many companies betting in loading stations, but way focused in urban areas and heavy weight. We are working on sustainable corridors, and the idea is defining logistic and strategic routes where you have the availability of supplying fueling with gas or biomethane to provide this loading infrastructure to trucks. Because without the infrastructure, you will be restrained to dedicated routes where the loading autonomy is enough going to point A to B, fill, and come back. Perfect, Margaret. You told us a little bit about financing, the view of the government about that, infrastructure, how you look into it. And regarding electrification, we have just left COP26. How do you see the discussions? The discussions that happen in there can inspire us on the other side of the Ecuador to have new practice or following the same paths. What are your takeaways from COP26 within our reality and the automotive sector? To reinforce what I mentioned before, the future, it will be necessarily sustainable, but in medium term, it will be electric as well, but it doesn't mean you may have other technological solutions. We'll have in the market solutions from the next year where you are moving towards technologies of low emission or negative emission when, for example, from 2023, the energetic efficiency will be measured from carbon footprint on the life cycle of the fuel to the use of renewable fuel we have in the country. When we talk about electrification, you have to bear in mind that biofuel is not only a biofuel, it's bioenergy. On the concept of electrification, you have to take into account that ethanol is a bioenergy and a renewable source of bioenergy. And we don't see the country taking the path identical to Europe and United States because we have our own technological paths that are best adapted to the context of Brazil. We have some interferences here. Production will try to fix it. But are you hearing us well? Yes, I'm hearing you well, but I see there's a delay. But we are hearing you. That's important. You commented on the life cycle of fuel. We have the story of the wheel. What's the difference when you have a look on the full cycle when we talk about sustainability? If you can explain this better to us, for the ones who are not familiarized with this theme, it would be really good. I'm sorry I cannot hear you. I would like you to explain us about the concept of fuel life cycle. Why are you looking to the whole cycle? Because not everyone is familiarized with this theme from the well to the wheel. The country has the measurement of energetic efficiency, which is CO2s emitted by kilometer run we have from the tank to the wheel. After the fuel is in the vehicle, what are its emissions in its use? In the next cycle, we will go, you said about from the well to the wheel or from the source to the wheel, where you get the carbon footprint of the entire life cycle of fuel. And the final goal when we're talking about sustainable mobility, besides the fuel life cycle, going to integral production life cycle of the vehicle from its birth up to the end of its useful life when it's removed from circulation. But it's all a process. We know where we want to go. What we need is to define how to reach this place and in which pace. But the pace is each time more accelerated. It's important. You said about the end life of this vehicle. It's an issue for this sector. What to do when a vehicle has its use interrupted? When we're talking about public transportation in big cities, new technologies will be here, then they go to the countryside. So we need to have to think forward to talk about circularity. What's going to be done in the post life of these vehicles? I think Pachi wants to ask something regarding this. What are you looking inside the chain of industry sector regarding circularity? We're talking about this a lot here, this orchestration you are doing. Do you foresee the end of life of the automobile, the vehicle? Do you have some initiative regarding circularity? When we're talking about fleet renovation, also the destination of vehicles for recycling, once these vehicles have more than 30 years, and for remanufacture or reuse, it's really hard, but you have a series of metals and materials which will be reused in production lines as materials. And also the goal is each time more the support to research and development, working with green materials. It means having a bigger reuse. Remember, in the automotive chain, you have two important compounds which have the reverse logistic cycle, like batteries. The automotive sector has a commitment with this reuse of materials, but we need to advance a lot to reduce industrial residues in this reuse of materials. For such, it's required a lot of investment in research and development. The advances are happening, but we still have an important path to run. In Brazil, the automotive sector is historically pungent. It leveraged a lot of innovation in Brazil, a lot of development, but we are passing through a technological transformation, not only Brazil, but around the world, trying to use our vocations, doing with predictability and safety, as you said. I would ask you to make a prospect. How much our sector will be so incisive and protagonist of so many things that have been done for the country? Do you think we'll keep on being relevant in these new technological routes? What is your intuition, your feminine intuition, your experience in the sector? We know you have a lot. How do you see this moment? Are you excited?
Aí eu te diria que nós precisaríamos errar muito.
I would say we need to make a lot of mistakes to make our automotive industry stop having this focus on building knowledge, because national automotive engineering, it's internationally recognized. It has built solutions. Scania has a research and development sector in the country, which is relevant in the global strategy of the company. Many car makers have centers of research and development. The knowledge, the build of the knowledge of new technological buildings will be central. I cannot tell anything different because I work in the industry of productive development. Our bet is on the growth of the industry, focusing each time more in technological development, engineering solutions, export of strategic development. That's the future we design. That's good, Margaret. I would like to thank you on behalf of Scania, your availability to be here with us. I would like to thank you because you talk about your experience, your intuition on what the future would be like. And the reading we have here is we are really trusting, confident about this sector, the commercial vehicles, the trucks, everybody together trying to make things right with the final goal that is carbon neutral. I would like to thank you on your participation here in Sustainable Talks. I thank you all. Thank you very much.
Agora hoje está todo mundo saindo mais inteligente desse encontro, né? A gente começou.
Everybody, we started with circular economy and value chain from end to end. We had Mexico, Electrolux, biomethane with Tamar and André. We had Margaret talking about how the automotive sector will be relevant, choosing their own routes and technologies. Both circularity and the view of value change are allied in our country. This is what is happening so far in Sustainable Talks. We had the participation of Christopher Pogdowski following our meeting, making comments. Thank you for the participation and for being here with us. And we also want to honor him, making an homage to him because he put in our group a very nice image, inspired by Mafalda. Do you know Mafalda? Please write in the chat. Do you like her? We love her. So you can see how we are following with synergies. The president, Christopher, sent us this image. He knows I'm in love. I'm in love with comics, and he remembered us, and we remembered him also. He's one of our allies to make this change in the planet, and we have only planet A. The planet is sick because we have low humanity. Let's end this live stream more humans. We thank you all to follow the third day of sustainable talks tomorrow. We have more. We have much more. At 2 p.m. Brazilian time, we'll close with a golden key with a vital theme. Another one, let's say, so we can have a future of carbon neutral. What would be that? Green finance will bring together with me and Ju. Itaú will be here, which has the power to contribute capital to projects that contribute to the resilience of the planet. Also, Eco Rodovias, which is already committed to new ways of building roads with less environmental and social impact, and also CETESB, a public agency that is a protagonist on the licensing with the goal of the scope of its work, the licensing of projects, and being guardian of the environmental agreement. You need to be here. We'll wait for you. But there's something else to remember. Yes, we have a message for you that have followed us. Are you enjoying our event? We would like you, if you can, answer our satisfaction poll. If you are enjoying sustainable talks, please just answer pointing your cell phone to the QR code on screen. We would like to know your opinion because our goal is to make a better event each time. Best for you. I don't know. Will you come with a reusable, with a new outfit, or will you reuse? I think so. We'll encourage more people to not be ashamed of doing this. I will keep on using my old clothes, and maybe in the next one, I will start to rent clothes. Maybe next year, we know which. Well, we know which will be the poll. We know we have to repeat some outfits. We know you will be here following everything with us. The end. We are reaching the end. Tomorrow, the last day. Please be here. We count on your presence. Okay. Thank you very much. And we end this afternoon. See you. Bye.
En una sociedad más sustentable.
In a more sustainable community. This is the purpose of Scania. We understand that we are part of the problem and we want to be part of the solution because our planet has no plan B. And we are here to celebrate the plantation of more than 30,000 trees in the region of Quinconai. I am very touched because of our welcome and because of the people, and to be part of this project that is very important, and for me personally, for the company, and for our generation. The objective of the Scania forest is to contribute with society to reduce inequality, social inequality, and and to reduce the carbon emissions. We have this objective, and the great news that I bring is that we can only just mitigate the emission, but to compensate, and we have to compensate, making it double the emissions. So our meeting has permitted to have a more deeply understanding of the community, and we decided to form this forest, not just plant but make this part of the community and as a way of as a sustainable project. This has a project that together with the companies, they can understand the social and environmental impact, and that is becoming a positive one. And we have degraded soils and we have many families that live in poverty. So we want to capacitate each family to motivate so they can be very motivated and they can be developed. And the whole community has decided to plant and take care of this. And the Scania forest is a reality. It's a dream to reforestate in a responsible way to help our country, help our community, to help our economy. We are very happy to create projects that are making difference. And this gives us an enormous satisfaction. This is so important. And I am doing this so I can show my son what we have been doing to contribute and improve the country and our future relations. So this can serve as an inspiration for other countries. So we invite all of you to join us in this program. And we are working with Scania, and this is something that we have been dreaming of doing.
Is a huge health issue.
A luta contra o aquecimento global é uma das prioridades de
For reducing emissions.
Thick smoke billowed above Brazil's Amazon jungle.
Is on top of the impacts of climate
it's a vital
change.
defense against climate change.
Pollution from burning fossil fuels.